I don't think he can. Nice target fire there on the Banelings. Secure finds his way back around the corner, targets the Banelings down, and there's no splash damage on these Marines anymore. Bottom right in the blue for Team Liquid, it's Cure. And the upper left, 15-15 and on up for Onside Gaming. He is the reigning GSL champion. In the lower bracket now, it's Solar. And man, they do these intros so quick. It's like they do them, so you feel like you should do the intros. But it's literally like 3 seconds each. And then they go to the middle of the map to show off sponsors. I'm like, you know what, valid. You gotta show your sponsors. I'm not gonna complain, but give me like 5 more seconds. Okay, please? Is that too much to ask? I don't think so. I don't think it's too much to ask, but apparently it is. For now, Cure is going 2 ranks opener here against Solar's 15-15. So this does not mean that Solar has won the game and Cure has lost the game. But this is a really nice build order advantage that Cure has been able to build for himself, or that Solar's been able to build for himself right now. This build of Solar's is nice for a couple of reasons. Is it quite as economically focused as other builds are? No, it's not. But you get your queens out just a little faster. You get your lings out just a little bit faster. You get your creep spread on your natural just a little bit faster too. And all of these things together means that the Reaper pressure is just not as viable, not as solid. It's less likely to get damage done. And when you do go for 3 Reapers, you do want to get something done. It doesn't have to be a ton, but you want to delay the third base. Maybe you want to kill off a drone or two. You do want to slow the Zerg down. So by opening this 15-15 style, by the time anything shows up onto the other side of the map, Solar's going to have everything that he could possibly want. And anything his little heart could desire, he's going to have. So, also he's got the scout. He knows this is 2 racks opening. He knows exactly what Cure is doing. And that means that, well, as Reaper shows its way onto the other side, this really shouldn't get a lot done. Now, he's going to get the drone. Oh, he's going to get the drone. Last second he does. Cure. Well, that's annoying. We talked about wanting to get damage done because third base, well, and how this opening for Solar is really, really nice. Well, you say that, but a drone went down, and now Solar's going to be hard-pressed to take his third base. And by the way, because this is 15-15, because we saw Solar go and make sure he wouldn't take damage from this, he makes up for that in some way by delaying his gas. Which means that his speed's not going to be done at 3:30. It means his speed's going to be done at 4 minutes. And if you go for that one, well, generally, the time you got to be careful. But by that, generally, the time you're looking for when you can go and take your third base is when speed's done, which conveniently means that because the third base didn't get down before the Reapers were out, it means that you're almost kind of confirmed here that the third base isn't going to go up before 4 minutes. Which is just a massive, it's such a big win for Cure in this game. Number one, as he looks to find his footing, establish presence on the map. It's a really, really nice setup for a Liquid Terran. Now, again, does this mean the game's over? No. But delay, well, okay, this is interesting here because Cure didn't read that deep into it. And I think he could have. Just because of the timing and everything else. He on the main base, he should have clicked how much gas was mined. And how much gas was in the tank, so you should be able to figure that one out. But he ran home at 3:30. He had about 20 more seconds. The speed finished at 3:51. He had about 20 seconds when the lings were longer than he could have stayed. When lings did not have speed, when they were not going to do anything, and that could have delayed our third base up until maybe 3:45. I think you run back across the map before speed's done because you don't want to get caught, but could have delayed it even longer. I mean, it's still horrible. Still pretty rough for Solar because, again, that third base is a long ways off. But even still, I mean, it could have been better for Cure. So behind this, of course, he's got his third base on the way, adding in Liberators as his harassment method of choice. And Reaper Hellion, like this, is pretty nice. It gives you the ability to knock off lings. You can kill creep timbers. It's fast. It's mobile. And Cure just needs a couple less Hellions than he might otherwise do, just because he's got 3 Hellions or 3 Reapers, and that does make a significant difference. So for now, he's just kind of poke away and do what he can. I'm not really getting all that much, but this You can think about these builds almost as a 3-base 2-1-1. They open up, obviously they open with Reapers. That's not what a 2-1-1 does, but the end result is very similar in that TY 2-1-1 gets 2 Hellions. They're active on the map, but they're not really getting a ton of third base, and they generally push on the map at 5:30 for about a 6-minute time. When stim is done, when you got 2 full medevacs. Now this build doesn't quite move on the map with 2 full medevacs. It'll be about, what is that? 14 odd. It'll be about 14 odd Marines, 12 odd Marines and medevacs instead, as this Liberator in the main base gets something done. And okay, 15. No, 13 Marines. I was close. I almost did the math. But we gotta, of course, as this moves out here, we gotta remember exactly what the stakes are for this series. This is the lower bracket. Cure, of course, fell down. Solar, of course, fell down on day 1 of play. And that means that they have no lives anymore. Cure, of course, was the finalist of Masters Colosseum 6. He's going to get on top. 1 queen gets on top of a second one. That one's not going to fall, but this 4th base is just, yeah, it's dead. It's gone. It's going to have to get canceled. But again, when we talked about this setup here, Cure, of course, was the finalist of Masters Colosseum 6 last year. Lost to Cyril 4-1 in the finals. Solar's a reigning GSL champion. Both these players, either recently in terms of results or recently in terms of the last tournament, have done very, very well for themselves. So to see either of them, you know, it's not being knocked out bottom 16 or whatever it is. It's not being knocked out in the group stage. But getting knocked out round 1 for Solar or Cure, or, you know, in all honesty, anyone that's remaining in the tournament right now is a bit of a disappointment. But now on top of this, another queen's going to fall again. Cure is just getting so much done with this. As the Liberator in the main base as well gets more drones, 2 more dead drones, damage on the queen, stems on top of another queen. Is he gonna get this one? I don't think so. We're gonna have to see. This Liberator finally is gonna get dealt with, but man, it's got like 7 drones. Got like 7 drones, so that's gonna, again, Solar's kind of fighting on the back foot at this point. He's got 4 bases. He absolutely does. His 1-1's done, and that is not ready for the Terran player. And these tanks are at the front line, but not enough to jump on top of. Not with all the Marines behind. So now Cure's got his 4th base. Do we have 5th base on the way? Yes, we do. Or, excuse me, he's got his 3rd base, 4th base on the way right now as Solar. Middle of the map. This might be kind of what he's looking for, is a friendly fire tank. Just because, it's a love tap. Hey, I love you. You know, good job, SCV. We're gonna knock you down to 2 HP. It's gonna be good. This pressure coming out of Cure right now, holding the high ground like this, is gonna be pretty hard for Solar to deal with. But he has a nice surround. Army on the right side, army on the north side. 1-1's done though. There's no upgrade lead that really Solar has can take the advantage of. It is only 2 tanks as we look at this. So here comes the army. Marines and Hellbats are going to try to buffer as much as they can. The queens will fall. Regicide to the highest order right there. And I think this base dies. Cure, oh yeah, nice micro. Kites his way back in the corner. All the Banelings are going to get targeted down. Base is going to go down as well. Banelings continue to get targeted here, but the last shot is going to be more than enough. And this army falls apart. Cure not quite sure what he wanted to deal with. Low ground, high ground, kind of split the middle a little bit. He still had this opportunity to go and knock the Banelings down, to go and make sure that he knocked the base down, that he killed the queens, that maybe he wins the game right there. But instead, the last Baneling connection did more than enough. And now Cure, he's not dead. He's still in a great spot. He's still up double the army supply. But he's going to be running into a 2-2 Zerg pretty quickly. He only has 1-1 on the upgrades, which means these Banelings are going to last longer. They're harder to target down. The splits are still good. The Marine count is still really solid here. Cure's got a couple seconds before those Banelings are done. And notice Solar, he's already given the base up. He's taken the north side base once again as he goes back down to a 4-base Zerg. Cure, he's gonna have to split against this once again. Target fire on the Banes. I don't know how well it went under the corner. Observers, please. But it seems like it went well enough for Cure. Seems like it went well enough for Cure, as now the 4th base is dead. Or the 5th base, I guess, at this point, technically. And the pressure continues. Again, 2-2's not done. He's down 2 upgrades, but it doesn't really seem to matter. Widowmines are going to brew up once again. Bailey's knocked them all down. That's really, really nice. As Cure's going to have to kite backwards. I thought we had a tank, but apparently it's dead. No, it's just a little bit further back. And that's what you're looking for, really. Target fire from the banelings on the Widow Mine, or target fire from the tank on the banelings, is a really good thing. That means that the banelings go down. The Zerg player lacks splash. Remember, pretty quickly here. 2-2 is going to be done. Pure's going to have that upgrade parity once again. Now runs away. Friendly fire on so many of these Marines, but again, we're lacking the Baneling count. The Hydras are actually, you know what? The Hydras are really solid. Up an upgrade like this, +1 is going to be done pretty quickly for him as well. But Hydras are actually in this against this small number of bio. The Hydras are just doing a pretty solid job by themselves, and Solar continues to hold on. It's not easy, it's not clean, it's not comfortable. But he's gonna have Viper soon. He's gonna have Adrenal soon enough. His +1 attack for his Hydras are gonna be there, and if he can take this fight on his timings, maybe. It's not gonna be easy. It really is not gonna be an easy situation whatsoever. But there's a parasitic bomb. You can maybe hit a really good blinding cloud, mess with the Marine AI, and Banelings get solid connections. But again, you have to be just as much lucky as you have to be good for this to happen at this point. So moving forward, once again, what's the Viper gonna do? Casting a parasitic bomb on a ton of medevacs to go down, but you got to get more. You really have to knock so many of these medevacs down to cut down on the healing. As now we're going to see Widow Mines not get their shots, and again, Solar's going to have to guide back onto creep, and that's a problem because the creep spread, it's non-existent. It really is not much here, so Solar can get pushed back almost to his base before he gets back onto creep once again. And now with the Liberators here as well, 3-3 on the way here from Cure. The setup that Cure has just continues to get better, continues to get stronger. We do have to give Solar a ton of credit. I think a lot of Zergs in this situation, they would be dead. They would be in the ground. But Solar's holding on just well enough. Viper's ready once again, looking for the parasitic bomb. Drops it on top of one of the men. No, he just abducts. Okay, he abducts Liberators instead. But they're just going to siege up on top of the Hydras. Hydras are going to try to take the fight, though. Is this enough, actually, Solar? Is this what you need right now? It's so close, but it's not going to be enough. Not at the end. The bio. Solar has to kite back on creep once again. Widow Mines are not going to go off. That one does, actually. Okay. Widow Mines go off. Not much damage. Liberators are dead. Barely, narrowly. Solar hangs on once again, but he's not going to get this 5th base. Drones are getting Maynarded on over, and I think that's a kill, actually not a cancel anymore. So Solar, again, his economy heinously shattered. His main base pretty close to mined out. Natural's not enough, and yeah, Cure, he takes game 1. What are we looking at here, right? Game 1, Cure goes, and his Reapers actually do a lot of damage for a build that was A, scouted, and B, technically not build order countered, but build order managed. Because of course, I mean, it's not a build order counter. That's, he would have lost, but it was, you know, very much a setup where 15-15 is designed to handle these 2 racks Reaper openers, and even still, he delays the 3rd base. He gets a drone. He gets a ling or 2. Like, it was really good for Cure. And then he just starts mowing bases down. He gets some really good target fire. He's able to do what he wants to do. But Waterfall, or not Waterfall, Equilibrium is a very different map. I don't know why Waterfall. His map is nothing like Waterfall. Outside of it being a base, I guess technically, I don't know. I don't think that counts. But yeah, so Equilibrium is a very different map. Of course, you have the gold bases, which we're not seeing Solar go for at this point. We saw Cyril, actually. The lone map he took against Clem in ESL in Atlanta. The lone map he took against Clem was, in fact, on this map. He took the gold base. Clem tried to bunker up his natural position, which would have become his 3rd, but he just Roach Ravager rushed Roach Ravager rushed Clem to death, and it didn't really work out all that well for him. Well, that's not what we see here. We're going to see a much more standard setup coming out of our Protoss player, coming out of our, not Protoss, what am I saying? Coming out of our Zerg player, coming out of our Terran player. And this, if it's not all about the gold bases, which it isn't always, but if this isn't all about the gold bases, then what this means is that, well, this map can go pretty late. The 3rd base is rather exposed. That is very much a concern for the Terran, but it is a long map, and it is a large map. So if game 1 didn't go the way of the Zerg player, you know, Cure was not able, or Solar was not able to come back. He took some damage early game, didn't feel that great. Equilibrium, for many reasons, is a much better map for Zerg. You have the third base pretty exposed for the Terran. On either position, they take third or fourth. Pretty dang exposed. You have this big map that is a long time for a Terran to push upper right to bottom left is a long push. So that means that you can deal with reinforcements better. That means that the attack is coming less quickly, less hard and fast than it might otherwise be, which means that you got a little bit more time. You can defend a little bit more. All that together means that, well, here is, I'm not saying anything about being a good spot or a bad spot, but this map is much better for Solar than the previous one was. Where exactly we go from there, I don't know. But for now, again, just pointing out, Solar is he's gonna like the map setup. So Kira is one of these players. As we talk about what players are gonna go for, certainly that gold base is tremendously valuable. It's got a rich gas and 6 gold patches, so it mines out very quickly. But for the time that you have it, you need, what is that? You need 15 drones or 15 workers to do the work of 24. That is really powerful. That is tremendously significant. But because it's generally in this matchup taken as a 4th base or even a 5th base, not quite as a percentage of your income, it's not nearly as strong. So it's going to be fine on that front. Now, here's, because of this map, because Equilibrium is such a big map, he's actually gone for a very quick third base. It was, I want to say it was Barracks Command Center to go down at 440. So he's got his third base up. He's got Hellions defending it, Liberator on the map, looking for whatever they can find, really. And we're just going to have to see exactly where we go from here. Again, it's a hard map to push. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this be one of those games where we see our Terran player going, yeah, he's going to take a 4th base very quickly. He's going to do the macro thing. He's going to probably have some drops on the map. But again, he's going to get a queen. This is really, really nice. Observer! Observer, please. It was really important that we looked at that one Ling in the natural. It was so important that we saw that there was a Ling in the natural as the queen was going down and potentially going down, and maybe a creep tumor, because a Ling is worth 25 minerals and a queen's worth 150. Anyways, Ling's nice run by on the third base. They're gonna find, even if they don't kill a lot here, they force it off mine and they kill off a couple SCVs, and well, the Lings shouldn't get through the natural. They're gonna force the lift as well. So, oh, these Marines, they shove out just a little bit more. That's a bit of a problem. They're gonna find their way back into the wall in time. That's a nice wall out of cure. Yes, Lings can run through it, so he's gonna have to plug it up again, but it's such a nice choke. It's such a nice choke. And now, well, Bailey Nest on the way. Solar's halfway to his 1-1. And I do like this build, actually, as well. When you go very quickly into your 1-1, you delay your layer a little bit. You just, I guess this layer isn't actually all that slow, but you just get very, very quick melee upgrades. Now, if you're worried about Terran pushes, that can be very scary, because your Banelings are slower, your layer is slower, you spend all this gas and stuff that's not really going to show itself for a little bit. It's not going to be immediately impactful. But if it's a big map like this, you're pretty confident that the Terran's not going to be able to do a ton of push. I mean, it's 7 minutes, and this is the first real bit of Terran aggression. Now, I do like this from Kira, diving in with the Hellions as well as the drop in the main base at the same time. That can be pretty nice. 3 workers go down, and maybe a couple more as Link's trying to get on top of this into the main base. Seems like Kira might be able to win the fight. 11, 12 drones go down. Very nice move. Kira doesn't win the fight. I guess Banelings were there, but 13 dead drones. That is a really, really good move coming out of Kieran now. Well, his 1-1's most of the way done. He's got combat shields on top of this. This 5th base on the way. His team is rather vulnerable. And remember, Baneley speed's not done, so Kieran can target a couple. I can say you can target a lot of those Banes down, but get at least a couple of them down. Now, dropping into a bunch of Links like that is not the smartest move. Let's be clear. That's how you lose your drop. Ever so slowly, you drip feed it to Lings and they feast. But here's got another multi-prong. He's playing actually pretty dang fast here. His target fire on the Banes is maybe not as good as, say, what you're seeing from Climber Maru or something, but he's doing a really nice job of multi-pronging here. Widowmine gets a single link. Not incredibly effective, but he is doing a good job of nickel and diming away at Solar. He's killed off about 20 drones right now. He's getting decent trades as these banelings will connect, and Cure does not seem to be paying attention. Doesn't drop it. Pretty cleaned up. The trick is unlike last game, as nice as it is that we're seeing Cure go and kill off 20 drones and make that happen, Solar he's still on 80 drones. His supply is still better. None of his bases have gone down. Everything's going the way you'd like. His hive's on the way. Lurker Den's on the way. 2-2's on the way. We're in part seeing how hard it is for the Terran player to push. This map is just so long. And what am I? Gonna get retargeted maybe? No. Oh, well, yeah, okay. Gets a bunch of links. The map is so long that it's really hard for the Terran to like substantively push before, I don't know, 3-3 or something. So here's playing the way you kind of have to play as a Terran on this map. Army on the left side, army in the middle, army in the north side, trying to just nickel and dime enough. That's a nice little mine. Nickel and dime enough up until the point where you can properly break through and bring your army together for that one big hammer blow of a push. But for right now, Cure's not really finding it. Widowmines are nice, certainly. But this game does feel like it's, man, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna jinx it, but it does feel like this game is destined to go about 15, 17 minutes. Something like that. The army moved forward here, but again, the baneling connections were solid. But Cure, as the single banelings run in, does a really nice job of targeting them down. Looking for, oh, that's beautiful. Friendly fire on top of so many of these Marines and the medevacs as well. So yeah, you know, these will eventually get healed up. The medevac is so low. It does take all the wind out of the sails. Nice job there from Solar. Notice sneaks around with Lings from the right side to knock down the to drag Widowmines right on top of the army. That's fantastic. And now Solar, he's got 2-2 done. He's got +1 attack on the way for ranged units. He's got +3 armor on the way, adrenals, seismic spines. I don't think I saw any lurkers on the production tab, but I could have missed it. He's exactly where he wants to be in this game state. Baneling, so nice connections once again. It's always scary to run around a corner though when you're fighting into a Terran. That is where they love to live. So that's a little bit dicey, but Widowmines are, again, nice splits there coming out of Solar. Widowmines are not going to get all that much done. And now the question is, what's Solar's timing? He's gotten everything I think he wants. He's got Lurker Tech just about done. He's got Adrenal Glands just about done. +1 armor just about done. But more importantly, actually, no, those are the important things. He's also got an Nidus on the way, which is really nice. We saw Cyril do the coolest thing. It's the coolest thing with his Nidus play against Cure last week, where he went and he put a Nidus pretty much in every outlying base, and especially the base that he was trying to take from the Terran. Put him on every single one of those bases, and when a Terran would go and try to take a base back from him, 24 drones into a Nidus running away. And you care, I mean, 24 drones is a lot of larva. It's a lot of money. You'll lose a Nidus, that's fine. You don't want to lose the drones. So it was really cool to see Cyril do that against Cure. I think it was a large portion of why he won that game on was it Hecate? I forget. Anyways, nice baneling connections here coming out of Solar as he continues to try to find his way. And this Planetary, I think it just gets busted down. Yeah, it will. And it's going to get lifted, but we don't have building armor. And Hydras are really, they pump out a lot of damage. But I guess for right now, he's not really going to go for it. Banelings could look to run forward here. That's going to be a, well, those SCVs they're sacrificed for the cause, soaking the Banelings so that the Barrio, I guess that it might live. And the Hydras, actually, they're going to be in a bit of a pickle here. But we do have the rest of the army. More army from Solar finding its way on in, trying to take the fight happen. But this army is a bunch of glass cannons, and Cure, he will go. He will fight this back, but not at tremendous expense. Doesn't lose the base. 12 SCVs go down, loses the position. Planetary is going to be a lot slower. But make no mistake about it, that was expensive for Solar too. He did have to be very careful about how that went. So Solar, he had a couple lurkers on the way. Now he's a couple less because Cure's army finds the ones being built. right in the middle of the map. So it's 11 Hydras on the way, 4 Lurkers on the way, +3 attack getting started here, +2 ranged attack as well. Solar's rounding out his upgrades. He's rounding out his tech path. But Cure, he does feel like he can move on the map just a little bit more as the Lings continue to run forward a little bit. But I like this run by forcing Cure back and forcing him to, well, opt to take a fight. And remember, this army, this bio is good if it's kited. But if it just allows the cracklings to surround it, it doesn't fight all that well against this army that Solar has. So Cure lost a little bit more than he should have. I think friendly fire from the Widow Mines actually was really nice as well if you're a Solar fan. But Cure is slowly taking his side of the map, and that's what you're looking to do. As a Terran, this is not a map that you're really going to be able to win early game on. Not easily. I mean, if Cure played Joe Schmo 67 on ladder, sure, fine, but against other professional players, breaking a Terran or breaking the Zerg on this map is so hard. So instead, your job, your goal is to take every single, you're going to split the map. You're going to win on efficiency. This is probably going to be a 25-minute game or so, 30-minute game, something like that. And Cure with a nice concave, but Lurkers in the main base. This is how we see Terrans get broken, or how we saw Cure get broken against Serral, I guess is the big thing. The Lurkers in the main base, and there's not a lot to handle it. Now, luckily for Cure, the Lurkers are not on top of anything he holds dear. Not yet. He's going to lose, I think, 1 barracks and 1 tech lab, and that's annoying, but it's not the end of the world. There's a couple Lings are going to find their way into the third base as well. And now Liberators with their siege and everything else. These Lurkers will fall, but not before 16 SCVs go down. Not before a barracks goes down. And certainly there are still 2 Swarm or 2 Nidus, Night Eye in the main base that are, I guess they're covered, and a scan goes down. But even still, it's a little bit dicey there for Cure. He's going to have to clean that one up in Banelings. On the right side, same time, moving into the middle of the map. As the observer shows us an empty base, it is empty. That's a problem. But Solar, the middle of the map, this is where we care a lot more. This is where Cure, he has to win the fight. And that is bottom side. More Lurkers are going to show up, so this base does not really get to do what it wants. And now Solar getting on top of the planetary and the gold base as well. It seems like Cure is destined to lose something, but if he pulls a miracle, he doesn't lose anything. That's going to be, no, he loses the base. No miracles here. This is not the age of miracles. This is the age of man. And actually, it's not even the age of man. It's the age of bugs. Solar at this point doesn't really have much of a bank, but he is maxed out. He continues to be maxed out. He's got a ton of gas. And he continues to just, Cure's economy continues to hemorrhage at this point. He's going to lose, this is going to be another dead command center. And the thing you got to worry about when you talk about this is quite often when a Zerg is playing whack-a-mole on Terran bases in the late game, it doesn't, oh, no, not going to get the connection. When the Zerg is playing whack-a-mole on Terran bases in the late game, it doesn't really seem to matter all that often because there are so many command centers behind it. You can just pick up and put another one down, and you slowed mining for about 15 seconds, maybe less. Cure is kind of lacking on his base count. He just lost 2 command centers. He lost the base on the bottom side, lost base in the middle. He's got, outside of this base that he just retook, he's got 1 extra command center. He's got 1 extra town hall available to him, which is not really a ton. And it also means the Mulehammer is not going to be, what's he on? He's on 5 orbitals probably. That's something. That's a Maru number of orbitals, but it's not going to be the 10 orbitals that we saw that Clem used to come back against Serral, for example. It's not quite there. So Solar continues to look for an attack. He's mining out just a ton of money at this point. And now that's a nice Widow Mine as the Marauders are going to try to hold the line right now. And Festus run forward, dropping the Fungal, Blinding Cloud as well. But at least the Fungal's not on top of the Blinding Cloud. At least that's something that he is going for himself. And actually, Cure, this is a really nice concave, but it's not going to matter. His economy is not there. His supply is not there anymore. And Solar ties our series up 1 apiece. But now we move on to game 3 of this series. Solar and Cure, they're tied up at 1 apiece. And of course, by the way, if you like what I do and you want more Starcraft action every single day of the week, and if you're tuning in on, what are the dates? You're tuning in on, I want to say January 29th through the 1st. 29th through the 31st, January 29th through the 31st. I'm gonna have a couple Stormgate casts going back to back to back to back on those days as we take a look at the previous build, not what we're gonna get in Steam Next Fest, but the Devastator build, the build that was played for DreamHack Atlanta. We're gonna get some more. We're gonna get a better glance at that. We're gonna And some of those builds, we got some pretty, I got some pretty cool builds in the docket that, or the videos, the players got some pretty cool builds that we did not see at Atlanta, and we have not seen kind of on any other VOD. I mean, you may have seen it because the first person VOD was already out. But anyway, be on the lookout for that one. Sub to the channel so you don't miss it. And of course, I stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/BeoMulf. You should check that out as well, as we see Cure going for the 2 racks opening once again, because technically going for the 2 racks was won him game 1. Now, did he win the game because he did 2 racks Reaper? You know, kind of. Not all. That was not the only reason he won game 1. But it did slow Solar down quite a bit. It did do a really good job of curtailing Solar's aggression, of curtailing Solar's ability to do whatever he wanted to do on the map. And that just meant that Solar's 3rd base was delayed, his 4th base was delayed, his tech was delayed, everything was delayed. So for now, the first Reaper is gonna show up, and we're at the point again. Solar, you as a Zerg player, you want to go and take your 3rd base run, 28 to 32 supply. Generally, it's kind of when the queens pop out that can be pretty nice, but otherwise, 28 32 in general. You want to be able to force the Reaper back, and that's where this becomes a problem because, well, actually, did Cure only build 2 Reapers? No, he got the 3rd. Okay, I see that on the map. So 3rd base successfully delayed once again. There's nothing there, and again, speed's gonna be a ways off. Solar loves this delayed speed build. He loves going for a speed build that's done at 4 minutes, not 3:30, which is powerful, absolutely. But you know, it is punishable in this situation. Now there's gonna be a dead drone. Oh, KD8 charge, a little annoying. No, this is just a problem. Here again, he's gonna run back home at 3:30, and this time it's actually a bit of an awkward speed timing. It's 10 seconds late, which makes me think that this was just your Solar meant to get it for a 3:30 timing, and then it was just made a mistake or two in how he executed the build. So a little bit slow on getting that speed done. So, anyways, speed's now done. Cure did a very nice job of keeping his Reapers alive, delaying the 3rd base, and well, I'm not saying this is game 1 all over again, but certainly it has slowed things down for Solar once again. Now, though, the one other thing we have to talk about, I don't think this gets punished. I highly doubt it gets punished. But Cure does have his add-ons on the outside of the wall, which technically Lings on the surround can kill speed, or can kill stim, can knock down a reactor, something like that. That can be a problem. But it's very unlikely because you have to commit a ton to this, and Cyclones are out, Reapers are out, Hellions are getting added in, and by the way, talking about that, I think the addition of Hellions, in a large part, is because you're worried about maybe some sort of roach play, some sort of Ling play to go and shut down your stim. So you build a couple Cyclones, and they're really good on the map anyways. They can kill queens, they can kill plenty of Lings, especially if they have something sitting in front of them. They can kill Overlord. They're just this really powerful all-around early game unit the way that Cure is playing them. And by the way, Cure hasn't lost a single unit this game. I get it. I guess it's only only like 4 Lings and only like 3 Ling. I don't know. Only 131 total dead resources, so it's not that big of a deal. But anyways, there are 3 queens here, and Cure's not going to go for it. 3 queens is probably too much. I think if there were 2, he absolutely dives on top and probably kills both. But even still, continues to shark around. We got the linear 3rd coming out of Solar, which means that it's a little bit harder for him to spread the creep around the base that is the one that tends to be pushable. And just a lot of energy being spent, and creep tumors go down. I think there's like 1 or 2 creep tumors left in the tank from these queens, which is not where you want to be, because you want to have creep spread around whatever 4th base it is that you want to take by the time that you take it. You want to be starting to push past the 4th base in terms of creep as you're taking that base, which is not really happening right now. Whether this is a low ground base, we saw Cyril do that against, I forget who it was against, but we saw Cyril do that in one of the TvZs. that he played in the group stage. But now this Bio army is just so powerful. Hellbat's ready as well, getting on top of things. Hellbat's on the backside means the links around honestly doesn't matter at all. It's just so pointless. And one Medevac will fall down, but these queens, they seem destined to fall here. I think Solar may just be dead, actually. Yeah, he is. Cure on the timing of 2-1. I don't think I can give a really solid for X players. I think it's actually a pretty even map, all things considered. It's good. You know, there are reasons it can be good for Zerg. There are reasons it can be good for Terran. Just depends on the kind of the game state more than anything else. So I feel like Cure every other game is opening up 2 Rax Reaper, and every other game he's winning. Yeah, TvZ, it's in professional play across Masters Colosseum and ESL Masters Winter and ESL Masters Winter Europe. Weird. Okay. Kind of funny because we have the stats in Premier tournaments, and those stats only, yeah, because Europe is the only Premier online tournament. North America or Americas and Asia is not. But across Masters Colosseum 7 and Atlanta and the European Regional and Code S, it's Terrans are 80 and 71 on the map, so it's 53%, but it's close enough to be even, right? It's a sample size of 151 games, which is statistically significant, but 53% is kind of within the bounds of within the kind of the bounds of randomness. So I'm not putting too much of stock into being just really good for one race either. It's very good for Terrans and PvT. It's nowhere clear. 70 Protoss is 78 and 123 on the map. That's kind of outside of the bounds of randomness, just a little bit. But anyway, Cure 2 Rax Reaper once again. Solar, he knows what's happening, but 2 times in a row he's lost to the build because his third base is delayed and he just runs into awkward stuff, and it seems like more than anything he's just not comfortable in the style. I think that's how that works more than anything else. He's just not particularly comfortable playing against this, which is funny because Solar is one of those players I kind of looked at at the first part of it. Like he was one of the first people to go and say, yeah, 15-15 seems like a really nice option. 15-15 seems like a really nice way to play the game. So I don't know. We shall see. All right, you know, he tried to find. He started that build. Anyways, Reaper's in the main base here, and they're gonna get a drone. You've got to be so careful if you're gonna do this. It's very easy to lose all your Reapers, lose all your map control. But 2 drones are dead right now. There are a couple more low, but the Queens do such a nice job, and more importantly, the drone micro is really nice. So it's gonna be 2 dead workers, and that's fine. That is a-okay. Yeah, the third base is technically delayed by about 5 supply, but a singular Reaper does not delay the third base at all. This is so freaking nice for Solar. Finally, he beats back this aggression. Now Ling's on the other side. Again, this is one of those setups where the add-ons are exposed, and with Marines or with Reapers going down like this, you can maybe go and put a little bit more pressure. You can actually put a lot more pressure on the add-ons. You can start to knock things down, but I guess it's not quite gonna go for it. Not just yet. I mean, there are Hellions on the other side. Marines are out. It's not gonna be worth doing. Certainly Solar's got its third base much better time, in a much better position than he really has had in this series thus far. I guess game two was a much more standard opener, and granted, that's just Equilibrium, and that's just not that great of a Terran map, all things considered. You can win in the late game if you're really good, but it's very much a Zerg map. So for now, Hellions are going to think about diving in. One gets targeted down there. Very nice Solar, and so the game goes on. I mean, I think this is going to be one of those games where Cure starts to put pressure on, well, like wants to actually heavily aggress. We saw in Equilibrium, he couldn't really do it. But in the games that he's been successful, he's been able to go and keep, whether it's a double drop, whether it's kind of a small drop and then a main army working together, whether it's like triple pronging or something, he's been most successful. And in general, Terrans are most successful when they're able to keep the Zerg on the back foot a little bit, keep the pressure on. And that's why it's so painful to go in and build this triple Reaper thing and then not get a ton done with it. 2 drones are not enough to justify losing the 2 Reapers like that, because a singular Reaper is not map control. Well, a singular Reaper with delayed Hellions and delayed tech is not map control. That really is the problem. Yeah, you singular Reaper, then you get Hellions out very quickly, and it's fantastic. That's not what happened here. So Hellions thinking about diving in, getting on top of these Lings. They're gonna go and get 4 drones. That's a beautiful lineup. Although I guess actually some of that's in the main base as well, as Liberator getting a little bit more. In general, though, we're starting to see Cure make some money. Starting to see him find some remediation, something back on the map as he looks to find some. He's, again, I want to say clawed back in, but that's not true. He just finds some way to go and play on the map a little bit more. Take some value, take some resources away from Solar. And this has kind of been when he's been winning his games. In the games that he's won, it's been on that the initial stim timing, maybe the initial combat shield timing, between like 6 and 8 minutes, where he goes and he kills a bunch of queens, which unlocks knocking a base down earlier, or he gets the base, cancels a 4th base or something. That's where he's been successful. But because everything's been slowed down and the Zerg player has really not taken that much damage, it seems a little hard to believe that he's going to be able to do that again, although not a lot on this 4th base right now. But there, we got the beef line. We got 6 queens ready and waiting. The drop of the main base, though, I don't think that Cure's got a ton, or Solar's got a ton there. This Hellion run by into the 3rd. This is beautiful. I'm really surprised he didn't chase, actually. That was a lineup, and I think a lot more drones would have gone down, but still Cure gets a Spore Crawler in the main base, gets a queen with these Hellions, and Solar's starting to fall apart a little bit. This game is not over, not by a long stretch, but that is, you don't lose queens to Hellions. That's just not a thing. And Solar's really, or Cure's starting to really peak right now. He's about 20 seconds out from his 1-1. Solar has his, that's a big deal. But this army that Cure has on the north side with tanks, with bio, is a powerful thing, especially as we're looking. Oh, this is nice Lings, though. Hellions run back to try to defend. They're just all dead. They're move commanded. They were not attack moved. But Bailing Speed's not done yet. 1-1's done in 14 seconds. Bailing Speed's done in 14 as well here. If you can knock this base down, that's going to be fantastic for Cure, but the Bailings are going to try to join the fight just a little bit too soon. Yes, the tank falls, but there's another one there. But it has to get damage done because 12 workers have gone down at the 3rd base. And more importantly, the base is lifted. It's not mining here. Cure has to get so much damage done with this. And with the Bailing Speed now done and Lings on the surround, I don't think he can. Nice target fire there on the Banelings as Cure finds his way back around the corner, targets the Banelings down, and there's no splash damage on these Marines anymore. That was beautiful coming out of Cure at this point. It's not going to be enough to break this down, but maybe it's going to be enough to snipe down a couple queens before the Banelings are done. Maybe. And it gets like 1 or 2 more. Solar holds on, but really nice last second attack move. Nice last second shift click on those Banelings to make sure that they go down and he can just knock down all the Marines. Oh, okay, that's not even target fire. That's just killing all the Banelings as they run in. But Cure, he's even more active on the map right now, really starting to play fast as Banelings. They're not going to get a lot done. 6 more drones go down. And Cure hasn't broken a base. Not like the last games that he won, but he's getting a lot here. As he stims down the ramp once again, maybe getting a queen. No, Solar's on top. Think, oh man, this Cure is on top of his target fire in this game. That's 2 more Banelings dead. 2 more Banelings doesn't feel like a lot in this game. The game state, they're not free, but like 50 gas you're losing. More importantly, it's time. Because you only have so many Banelings on the map here, as the base will go down. And Cure thinking about that drop in the main base as well. As soon as he finishes microing this, which he will, tank goes down. You don't want to lose it. But this is a valid cause to lose a tank to knock a base, to kill off a bunch of Ling stains. And if we see the resources lost thing pop up, which it will eventually, if our observer deselects something, I think it's going to be pretty solidly in Cure's favor as he kites away. This time, look at that, splits the Marines back just to soak the shots, picks up last second. Oh man, They're just playing really, really well. Now these queens, they're dropping transfuses as much as they can here. Widowmine, that's gonna force a pickup. Sure. Not able to. Oh, random Widowmine. That's pretty nice. Marines drop on top of a bunch of on top of a singular bane. So that's a bunch of dead bio, and that means this drop is not going to get nearly as much as it would like. Sure, a bit of a mistake there. He didn't have to drop like that. I think he shift clicked into it or something, and really didn't get what he needed. But now the mineral line again. Kira's just, man, he's playing so well right now. That's not a great. That's a pretty solid Baneley connection. There was 5 Marines going down, which is again not what you want. But 2-2's now done. The thing we got to point out though is that Cure got his 4th base only just now floating over. It's 11 minutes in. So even as he's had all this pressure, and it's been good pressure, he's up about 40 army supply. Even as he has that, his economy is not the fastest. He's on 73 workers, sure, but they're not really mining all that efficiently. So that is something, again, we do have to take into considerations. Now, Link's Matrix try to run forward. That's a great Widowmine here. Another one's going to burrow up last second, looking for the target. No, will get shot down by the Queen. Okay, but again, more Banelings continue to follow Cure. Moves forward and backwards on the edge of creep, just buying this time, finding value every single time. And it's really hard for Solo to run off creep because the Widowmines are right there. And he doesn't really have detection with this, so it's hard to see it's hard to target them down. You can manually detonate a couple Banes, but that's not the easiest solution. Secure this pressure on the right side, tries to bait the army in as he attacks left side at the same time. That's a shot. That is so much of the Zerg army going down, as meanwhile the 5th base will fall as well. Widowmine's thinking about burrowing up on the drones maybe. Oh, you know what? That's a lot of Widowmines going down to the Banes. Very, very nice there for Solar, but he's lost a base. He hasn't lost a ton of he hasn't lost a ton of drones to this necessarily, but he's lost a base. Now, the thing we have to point out, and I haven't talked about it because, well, it's been so hectic. Solar's been able to sneak out his hive. He's had Vipers. I don't think we've seen them use them for all that much, but more importantly, he's got Ultras on the map right now. 3-3 is not done for our Terran player. Now, granted, well, +3 armor's not done for the Ultras either, and I don't know if there's Chitinous platings. Oh, look at this Vipers. They get shoved by the Liberators right into this thing, and Solar goes down again. Cure 1 map away from moving on to the next round. Is this the 2-Rax Reaper opening once again for Cure? You want to talk about a game that is not won on the backs of it being a 2-Rax Reaper. Game 4 was that game. Game 4 was absolutely that game. He went and he lost 2 of his Reapers. He killed 2 drones for it. That's not enough. And then Solar kind of gets the map, and Cure's not able to get a ton done, and then a link run by happens, and it's a little awkward. And then, of course, he wins the game. Then, of course, he turns it on at like 7, 8, 9 minutes and starts to multitask and get all this damage done. And it's kind of funny because Cure was the 2nd best Terran, 2nd best Korean Terran of the last couple years. At times, probably that's maybe too bold of a statement. Well, when he won his GSL, I think it'd be fair to say he was the best Korean Terran that season. Mario wasn't doing quite as well. So, as we move on here, it's going to be just a standard Reaper expand coming out of Cure. And actually, this was a CC first coming out of Cure in this game, which is very nice. You've played 3 of your 4 games. Have been pretty aggressive, going double Rax Reaper expand, which, I mean, I guess technically it's an expand build, but it's all about putting pressure on the Zerg, all about showing up and getting damage done or delaying a 3rd base. All of these things are very important. Okay. Well, now you go CC first. On the first map that has this high ground, Ram Site Delta, of course, is a very nice map for doing that. And this means that, well, certainly Solar is, if he's playing safe, he's going to be a little bit behind. Even if he's playing standard, his economy is not quite as fast as, or not quite as fast in comparison to the Terran as it might otherwise be. So, tiny little meta win for Cure, and it's kind of funny. It's kind of funny. I almost expected Cure to like 2-Rack. There we go. 3rd CC, just ultra greed from Cure in this game number 5. I almost expected to see Cure 2-Racks, 3-Racks, 4-Racks, something like that. Put pressure on the map. You got 3 consecutive match points. Might as well try to do it. Might as well try to end it quickly, right? Might as well try to go and properly make something happen. just end the game right there. I mean, you have the buffer, but I guess there's also the argument that Solar might be expecting it. And not only that, you've been winning the macro games. Well, I guess not Equilibrium, but Equilibrium is just a really good Zerg map. And actually, I'm curious. We talked about hard lead being kind of a wash. What is Equilibrium's official? What is Equilibrium's official TvZ win rate? And it is actually, yeah, it's pretty bad. 44% win rate for Terrans off of 87 maps. Terrans are 38 and 49. Yeah, that's not great. Be rough. It's not spark joy. Look at this. Okay, not only is this 3cc play, it's gonna be a bit of a Cyclone play coming out of Cure here, Cyclone Hellion, and he was kind of the first one to really be doing this in TvZ. I think that's the key thing. One of the first people to be doing this in TvZ. Certainly, he was able to go, and when this first started, he was killing Zergs. I don't think that's what's gonna happen here. But if you go and you kill more lings than you might otherwise do, if you go and snipe a queen. Oh man, if you snipe a queen, that's fantastic. But Solar does have his roach worn down, and he is building roaches. In fact, he's building a lot of roaches. He's building a lot of lings here. Notice what he's doing. He shows one ling. The rest of the lings on the high ground, they're not there. Not as far as Cure is aware. That was just a scouting ling. And the entire army of Cure is running its way onto the other side of the map, where it's going to get found out by all these lings. And Cure, he's going to have to batten down the hatches. This is a significant army that is knocking at his doorstep. Sure, the Reaper, the Hellion, whatever it is, the Hellion Cyclone is worth something, but now Cure scans it. He's like, oh crap, there's a bunch of stuff here. And remember, this wall is vulnerable. Roach is their job. It's to knock the wall down as quickly as possible. Then the lings can flood in. Then the lings can get their damage they want. The SCV mass repair is going to be pretty solid right now, and it's going to take a while to get through. As one roach gets saved at the last second. That's some big splash on those lings. Not going to be enough to bust them down, but the wall's not falling yet. And Cure is trading pretty well with his army on the map. It's not enough for it to be a hold just yet, but he is trading rather nicely. Now the wall's going to go down, and now the army in the middle of the map is starting to fall, but the wall it's choked out a little bit. Cyclones are being made only one at a time now because the reactor's been knocked down. And even as much as I'm saying, like, this is pretty solid for Cure, he's dead. He is very dead in this game, and he's going to tap out. Game 5 goes to Solar. Strikes back in the series. It is so tremendously hard to break a Terran on this map. Their core 4 bases are so nice. There's so many chokes, and it's also super pushable for the Terran for the same reason that it's hard to break a Terran. There are so many chokes. So many chokes. Now, by the way, I love that Solo's got a T1 SKT, or former SKT T1, but now just as a T1. Of course, Cure's got his Team Liquid share. Well, actually, that's not even a Team Liquid. I have a Team Liquid Secret Labs share that they sent me when I did TSL, but I guess Cure doesn't. Or at the very least, he's just opting not to use it. He prefers whatever he has. But it's kind of funny that, T1 doesn't have anything. T1 doesn't have Starcraft anymore, but Solar has the T1 share. Anyway, Hazabui, thank you so much there for the 25 months. 25 months to tier 1. A little over 2 years. That's awesome. But again, we're seeing Cure. He didn't go CC first this time. This was a Reaper expand. He's going to have his Reapers on the way. Commands are now just getting started. But again, we're not seeing him get particularly incredibly over aggressive. We saw the double Reaper expands that he used to tremendous success in multiple games in this series, but he's not using it here. And again, I keep saying this, I almost expect to see a 2 racks on one of these maps. Solar has proven victim to it in the past. I think he lost one of his games. I think he lost a group stage game to a 2 racks. But again, Cure's just saying, if it ain't broke, I'm up 3-2. I've got 3 straight map win. I got 3 straight I got three straight serious points that I'm going to play into, and I've won macro games, so I think I'm pretty confident that I'm going to be able to make it happen. As this Reaper micro is really nice, knocks down a couple lings, which is, again, you don't want to, like, losing one, okay, fine. Losing more than that doesn't feel all that good. And oh, Cure. This is one of those things when there is kind of clearly one base that is better than the other, and that is true of this map, by the way. This base is far better to take than the other one. You can delay it for quite a while without a 2-Rax Reaper play. You can just delay it by sending an SCV over and bodyguarding with the Reaper, because you know the Zerg wants the linear third. They do not want the triangular third on this map for many reasons. In general, you don't want the triangular third because it makes things much more droppable, and that can be really annoying as the Terran's kind of high ground, low ground, high ground, low ground, and it just doesn't feel good. But on top of that, on this map, you need that third base because you want to have creep down below that ramp. That can be a very scary Terran pushing position, but if you can get creep spread properly, suddenly it becomes a position that the Terran cannot push through, and it becomes a very safe spot. And it's very much the difference of whether you've creeped down the ramp or not, and the best way to get creep past that base and down the ramp is by taking the base. So Kira very much wanted to take that. He wants to have the opportunity to take the triangular third as his fourth, which is again, that's just going to be a little bit more different. You can maybe knock the rocks down by then. You can get creep spread even further around it. It's a little bit less painful. So for now, Hellions are going to try to dive in. Lings want to get on top of that one. The Hellion is not going to go down in the last second. Literally like 1 HP. And he's going to get a drone on the way out. Now this time, this should all be dead. This should all fall down. But now he's going to get 3 drones. Oh, no. Sure, you're so good. 2 Reapers or 2 Hellions and a Reaper. Knocks down 3 drones. 430 in. Now, you might want a little bit more. You might still value those units, but there are Banshees on the way. There are more Hellions on the way. It's not really the end of the world that Cure traded those out, especially for a nice scout, but creep spread denial, but also dead economy. It's a really nice move there from Cure as he's on the way, already taking that third base, 452. So, in the words of Sherlock Holmes, the game's afoot. Well, I guess that's Arthur Conan Doyle, but actually, no, it's not, because fun thing I learned the other day. Sherlock Holmes never actually says the game's afoot in any of the Sherlock Holmes books. It's all, it's only in the show, which is a fantastic show, certainly, but it's only in the show. That was something they coined and took off, and it took off from there, which is interesting, right? I didn't know that. Granted, I've only read like 1 or 2 actual Sherlock Holmes stories. I read the 3 Orange Pips, 6 in my head, but I don't really remember too much about what it was about. As these Banshees are going to find a spot. Drones on transfer. A couple more workers go down. Cure is doing such a nice job of knocking down the economy, or keeping the economy of Solar in check. These Banshees wanted to circumnavigate. That might be a dead... You know what? Leading with the healthy Banshee, that might almost be worth diving on the Queen. I don't think the Banshees die. I mean, maybe good target fire. But you lead with a healthy Banshee. It's got to auto-target the healthy Banshee, and I think you get the Queen. It was very low. It was tremendously low. But even still, 1-1's on the way for Solar. 1-1's on the way for Cure. Just a little bit faster than he has in the past. So it's going to be at the same time rather than a 20-second gap or something. And now Stim's done. Combat shields are on the way, but we talked about how this base is pretty solid for Terrans. It's also it's solid for Terrans, not for a similar way. That's a Waterfall. Actually, Waterfall was a Beckett or something is really good for Terrans, where you can just kind of push, and defending that Terran push becomes really hard because of rush distances. And in this game, it's really good for Terrans because they can lock 4 bases down very quickly. They can defend their 4 bases very quickly. And the Zerg just doesn't quite have that luxury. And there's this other idea that, of course, the Terran late game is in this matchup is pound for pound the strongest. Mass Ghost and Thor and Bio and Tank or whatever it is, Liberator, whatever the composition is that you actually need. But the late game Zerg composition, late game Terran composition is probably the best one. Just pound for pound. I mean, That's why the Zerg is not going for a singular composition. They're trying to mine the map out a little bit more and win via attrition. And that, again, that's great. But on a very defensive map, the Terran can often get us to a split map scenario where the Terran has every base. And then it is about efficiency, and that's a game that, again, a bio ghost Terran, more often than not, that's a game that they will win. And it sounds like I'm trying to say that there's a, what's the word? That there's a timer on Solar to win this game, which is not true. Let's be clear, but it's something to bear in mind is now Kure tries to go down the ramp, and with the Hellbats in front, they're going to get tanked out. Man, send one Marine. Send one Marine snipe that Queen. But he's not going to. No, I mean, the right side as well. Triple prong here. Banshee's actually doing a lot of damage. I thought they were going to do a lot of damage to the base. They're not going to. They will get out. And now Kure trying to do the whole, I'm attacking two sides at once, but because of the, oh, nice drag there on the Widow Mines. That's a lot of damage on those Marines. The single Ling finds its way forward. Widow Mines says, oh, I want it. And then half the army gets very low. Nice job there. Oh, man. Solar's had a couple really good mine drags this game. He's had a couple really nice mine drags. Now Widow Mines, they're going to get on top of the Terran bio just a little bit. Well, they're going to force things back once again. Sorry, Baneling's on top of the Terran bio once again. And now Kure brings his entire army left side. West side, I guess. It's funny, I noticed I tend to say left and right, but it's north and south. I don't know why that is. But anyway, trying to hold this ramp here. And this is going to be a pretty powerful Terran pushing position, but there's no tank. So there's nothing really to buttress this push. It's just the Widow Mines as Banelings. They're going to get some decent connections. Kure tries to get a couple on the way out. But now we got Solar on the surround. And even with this Widow Mine here, again, friendly fire is pretty solid. It's not as good as that one was with a single Ling. Gives us one of the longer Widow Mine shots we've seen, but it is worth talking about. It is. It is something. Now Ling's mains are going to move forward once again. Widow Mine, not quite as good that time. Sorry, I should say much better that time if we're talking from the perspective of Kure. And now 2-2's very close to being done for both sides. Hive 2/3 of the way done. And, you know, we talked about how the Terran 4 bases are kind of unassailable, so it's hard for a Zerg to get a run by in, something like that. It's just really winning this war of attrition until Hive is out, until Lurkers are out, until Vipers are out, maybe. And that's when you can, or drop maybe Nidus something. Maybe you can make something happen with that. But in general, it's about surviving and eventually shoving the Terran back kind of all at once. And once you have these higher tech units. But right now, again, target fire there from Kure is really solid. He's been doing such a good job of that, but he's going to lose the drop on the right side. So you win some, you lose some. And in fact, he didn't really win. He's certainly winning at the left side right now with the reinforcements. Solar was not quite prepared for that. And now, finally, seems like Kure's going to get on top of this base, break it down. Widow Mines looking for the friendly fire. And it's, well, not going to get up. He's not really going to get it. The Lings will fall. No, 6 drones go down to the Widow Mine, but reinforcements from Solar, they're on top. And man, these players are playing at such a high level right now. This is such a game of not only where's my army, but where am I sending my reinforcements? What side do I have to send my army to? And this is going to be a canceled base on the north side. But again, this question of where do I need to send my army to reinforce properly? Is it going to be my army on the right side, my army on the left side? Which hotkey am I setting up here? Where am I sending all my barracks? And it's really that is a game that's just about as much luck as it is about skill. As another medevac goes down. Solar seismic spine's about halfway done. Adrenal gland halfway done. Burrow +1 range +3 armor. They're all about halfway done. You got about a minute, and then Solar is going to be so much more powerful than he is right now. And that's his goal right now. Survive the next 60, 75 seconds or so. Get all your upgrades, put yourself in this nice position as now Vipers run forward, parasitic bombs on 2 medevacs, and that's going to slow this push down quite significantly. Although these Queens are dead, they have overextended themselves in the extreme. There will be no creep from them anymore. Man, 4 dead Queens, 600 minerals. That's half Solar's bank. Not the cheapest thing. Not the cheapest thing to reinforce. Not at the moment. But 3 Lurkers are on the way. +1 range done. Burrow done. Adrenal glands 20 seconds out or so. +3 armor 20 seconds. again, we've been talking about the Solar is building up until this like 14-minute timing. Now, of course, 3-3 is a really nice timing as well, but this is not Heart of the Swarm anymore. This is not this setup where Terran gets 3-3 and suddenly they're winning the game, because that period is not nearly as long, and a Zerg has more options. Yeah, 3-3 is great against 2-2 Ling Bane, but Hydras on the top they do really nicely even with no upgrades. And Lurkers are great. They don't really care about the fact that a Terran has 3-3, because it's about a compositional change for the Terran more than it is an upgrade really for the Terran. So Widow Mines don't get a lot. And the left side will be defended once again as Solar. He's gotten his 5 bases. He's taken the north side base, which is not the gold, but that's also the more important base. Because as much as we talk about, gold bases are great, that gold base is so far away that you take it as like your 7th base. And if you take it as your 7th base, the mineral injection, the mineral mining speed injection isn't all that significant, because you're already on like 86, 87 workers, and that base has less minerals in it. So in the kind of the grand scheme of things, as Golden Aura is want to go and turn itself into a late game, you'd rather take the north side base. The north side base has more resources overall in it. And the game is all about who can mine more and who can trade better. Really, these end games is Piercing Bomb not going to get that medevac very, very, very low, but it's going to get that full one. Certainly, that will fall down. Nice abduct there as well. So 2 medevacs of the 3 go down, and now Stoller on the right side. Doesn't seem like we have a lot of reinforcement down. There's a planetary here, and that's kind of hard to push through. And Stoller's not. He's just going to pull back. Okay, that one drop that managed to get out is putting pressure on his north side base, so he's going to back up and clear this up for the most part. It's not going to get a ton. Meanwhile, Kira's got an army in the middle of the map. Kira's got this army that is trying to shove in. He's not quite successful, not just yet. Now there's a Nidus going up in the main base, and I don't think there's going to be enough really in time. Kira, of course, nukes on the way as well. He had a pretty nice nuke against Cyril the other day. It wasn't game-deciding nuke. In fact, he lost the series 2-0, but he killed off a bunch of workers. It's really nice. Because generally, nukes get nothing done. So, hey, you know, more power to you there. More power to you there, Curious. These lurkers in the Nidus will not do nearly what they did in a previous game in this series. Although, actually, these ghosts are taking a lot of damage. 2 lurkers, 3 lurkers are still there. And, by the way, the detection is slowly getting wedged down, and as the Liberator shows up, run back to the Nidus, run away. Solar's on top of things. And despite the presence of Neo Steel plating and high-tech auto tracking, this planetary will fall to the 3-3 cracklings. There were just no repairs whatsoever, so you're back down to 5 bases. He'd like a 6th. He really would. His main base is mined out. His natural's mined out. His 3rd base is only 4 mineral patches on it. Now he's going to deny this north side from Solar, which is really, again, this north base is probably the most important base in the game. I think that is a pretty fair statement to these lurkers. Oh, they're so obnoxious. And now Kier will knock that down, but again, decent amount of damage getting done by the lurkers. The point being, again, that north side base, it's a full base. It's full of money as a... There we go. Lurker's going to get knocked down. It's probably, again, it's by far the most important base in the game, but Solar, he doesn't even care about that. He's getting on top of this army once again, getting on top of the planetary, and will be forced back for a 2nd time. 6 more workers fall. And at this point, it really does feel like he's not starting to run out of money. He's still mining about 2,000 minerals a minute. More if he goes and he drops mules, but he needs gas. He is pretty hurting in the gas count. His 4th base does not have any gas taken. His 3rd base lost one of the geysers, I think. Yeah, he's getting remade. Kind of hurting on his gas count. And he needs to make sure that he trades pretty effectively from here on out, because yeah, he still has 5 bases. Again, the 3rd base is going to mine out pretty quickly. The natural's done. 4th base seems like it's actually been pretty heavily muled. So yeah, it's a 5 base Terran. We're 17 minutes into this game. The economy is not what it once was. Lings and Banes and Hydras on the right side are going to try to bust this down, but it seems like the Sim City is going to be good enough and going to force us back for the time being. But more lurkers are on the way, and the Nidus on the way here as well. This is a bit of an opportunity for Kira. As the army's morphing, he can try to take an effective trade, but his army's pretty low. It's very overstimmed, or hasn't healed up all that well. And this is one of those things where you would really, really love his man Ling's Amaze getting on top of this SCVs once again. Kira doesn't really have the money for it, so I understand why, but getting a caduceus reactor, it felt like it was kind of a throwaway upgrade, but it's actually so nice in the late game. It means that the medevacs just have constant energy. So, well, Solar's going to take advantage of this pressure on the right side. Planetary will go down on that 5th base. Now, there's a command center right on top of it, so this should get retaken. More importantly, it's 27 dead SCVs. You're still on 52, but how many orbitals do we actually have? We have at least 3, but I don't think we have that many more. Not really. I think it's just triple orbital, so we're still at this. I guess 4 or 5. No, okay, we got 6 orbitals. That's okay. I was like trying to count in my head from what I saw, and it's like, no, it's not great. 6 orbitals are much more doable if you're having to scan a ton and drop a bunch of mules. So 57 SCVs is really actually not all that bad. Not really for Cure, and in general at Terran in the late game, they do want to go and properly build up their army supply and get up to like 150 or so. As the nuke's gonna go down on the north side. Solar hoping to pay attention, hoping he's paying attention, looking for where that is. Dropping the right side though means that may not go down. No drones have been pulled away, so the nuke cancels a couple Lings in production. That is just about it. Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, that's just about it. The 13 drones were from the north side base, so that is something. The Ghost will fall as well, you know. Does this mean that Solar's better than Cyril? Cure had a nuke against Cyril, got about 15 drones. Cure didn't hit the nuke against Solar, so hey, what do you... And Solar is the guy that gets nuked, so, you know, I don't know. These medevacs, though, are going to try to boost into the main... boost back into the main base. But one of them will fall, and the map is just slowly getting smaller for Cure. Nidus on the right side. Lurkers continue to move forward. Gold base getting taken by Solar, so he's taking both the upper right and the bottom left base. We're just running out of spots that the Terran can exist. And again, this is the situation where not a lot of mineral patches remaining at this base. And it's like 3 or 4. Gonna soon to mine out pretty quickly. The 4th base, kind of a similar situation. Now Lings and Banes never hide. Yeah, this is not a fight they want to take though. Yes, Solar is pretty far ahead at this point. Still not a fight you want to take. And then again, it's this situation where Cure's just about on 1 base, 1.5 base, I think we can probably call it, in terms of income, mineral, and gas. And Solar's got the map. Yeah, he's only mining 2,000 minerals a minute, 500 gas a minute, but that's not because he can't. That's because he doesn't really care to at the moment. And we lost a lot of drones, so he took a sweet time in rebuilding those back up. But Cure does need to start to find this ability to go and take another base, because at this point, ideally he takes the gold base from the Zerg, not because the gold base is worth more than the right side base, but because the Zerg is stealing money from him. If the Zerg takes the north side base, he should take the gold. That should be his. That's how that works. You should be able to split in some way, shape, or form. You cannot allow the Zerg to have both the north right, the northeast, and the southwest base. If they do so, they're effectively like 2 bases up. They're effectively 4 bases up on you, because they're taking right, because you're at maximum can take 6 bases, and they're gonna have 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Never mind, I can't do math. That's fine. Regardless, they're gonna have a significant base lead on you. That's what that is. And you really need to make sure you knock that down. Now, we're gonna have this 3rd base, and it's gonna be not allowed to mine anymore. It's not like it had a ton of minerals anyways. Sorry, they have 2 more bases than you. There we go. It's 8 to 6. It's not. I doubled my math, and I doubled it again. But the Lurkers continue to run forward. More drones are gonna go down. I mean, the Liberator is nice, but we don't have lib range. And this again has been, granted, in this game Cure just can't afford it, but this has kind of been a failing of Cure's late game that I've noticed as of late. Is like he's doing these things, he's getting his upgrades, he's building the units, but he's not getting lib range. He's not getting these ultra late game upgrades. And I don't know, sometimes it's because he just can't afford it, but sometimes he just doesn't. And I don't know quite why that is, just whether it's not, he doesn't think it's good, whether it's not in his kind of mental, the mental system that he uses to solve a game of Starcraft, but he just doesn't get it. And obviously this game is not a good example of that, because Cure's broke as a joke. He has no gas, he has no minerals, trying to slowly grind this game out, but he needs some way to get another base, and I don't know that he will. And even if he does, I don't know that he's going to be able to keep it. So I think at this point, what he's playing for more than anything else, he's going to try to max out like once more. And try to break a base. But he's just not allowed to do that. The Liberators keep getting abducted. They keep going down. Solar playing very safe at this point. Playing tremendously safe and just staying on creep, abducting units, and doing whatever he has to do. Really. But this gold base may die briefly. I don't think it's not really, it really is not that big of a deal for Solar. He's got money in the bank. He's got bases that he can mine from. He's actually taking he's taking Cure's base on the right side. Cure might not even break this. Lings are going to try to come in. It's not really a surround. It's just more of a fight and a tickle. But oh god, those Widow Mines. Man, so much friendly fire. There's so many medevacs hit the deck all of a sudden, and now Cure is absolutely dead. He's been mostly dead for a while, but he's 100% dead at this point. It's 119 supply to 197, 66 army supply to 120, and the Widow Mines, they are often a Terran's friend. They were not Terran's friend this day, not at all. Lings and Banes are going to try to run down the ramp, and that's always a little bit scary. So I think we're going to see this game might not end right now. But this is like one of those games where you're playing against a Terran. They're convinced they can micro better. STVs are going to get pulled into this because why the hell not? I think Cure is, well, you know what? Actually, no, not at all. We could say, well, you know, Solar's bank has been exhausted briefly. That's just because he was remaxing. His bank is being rebuilt up pretty quickly. It's fine. This is one of those games where the Terran goes, they're like, I mean, I'm dead. I'm probably dead, but I can micro better than you. My one bio ball is going to do more than your 9 bases. My one bio ball is going to do better than your 10 bases. It's going to be fine. Cure's very dead in this game. Like, there is really not a lot that he can do. And so, to take this base, he's got to move off. He's got to move on to creep. He's got to move away from the safe confines of his turtled out pocket area, and that's just not something that's really going to happen all that well. Is now moving forward. Fungal is kind of okay, mostly whiffs. More SCVs go down. They're serving as a buffer. It's effectively an SCV pool, right, where you go, and SCVs are just meant to die so the army can fight. Except this time, everything's just dead. Solar makes it happen. We're going to game 7. He's gone, and well, he went up 3-1, had a couple awesome games, and then for whatever reason slowed down, was not able to get what he wanted, and that has meant that he's lost a couple games now. It's not the end of the world. Certainly he can still do it. And notice what he's doing. Well, actually, no, this is still what this is. I was gonna say back against the wall, he's going for the 2 racks opening, and for a second I'm like, wow, that's not what it is, because it's not properly lined up. But what we see a lot of Terran players doing is doing this, where you build the wall like this and you actually use the add-on as the final part of the wall, so it's not quite as exposed. This has been one of those evolutions in the build that we've seen over the last, I don't know, the duration of the build, however long that's been. It's been about a year, I think, that we've seen Beyond and Maru start to really play it in. Yeah, no, it was last Katowice, so about a year. We saw Beyond and Maru start to do it with extreme regularity, and it dominated the meta for everyone for a little bit. And then Zerg realized that 15-15 pretty good. I mean, it gives me most of what I need to defend against this. So in general, it's not as strong as it once was, but we've seen Cure every single game that he's opened with this build, he's won with it. I don't think it's why he's winning all those games. Certainly not game 4. That was a disaster of an opening of a 2-rack Reaper, but it kind of worked out for him anyways. He just won later. But anyway, the nice thing for Solar is he's going to get a pretty, I'm assuming here, oh man, he had a 26 supply is not really, ooh, what is... Surely this isn't some sort of weird proxy. Surely this is just Solar putting his drone on the bottom side so the Reaper doesn't find it. That's gotta be what this is. Yeah, that's what it is. Okay. Like, he's not taking his 3rd base in the bottom right corner or something. That's not what this is. No. Okay. So Reapers are going to try to show up in the main base right now. Queens are a little bit slow. Oh, okay. Nice job there. As that will wall things off just a little bit. Drone gets low, but does not go down. And Solar, he's been waiting, I guess, for the... Oh, how does he know? How does... I doesn't quite check for far enough, but the fact that he knew to look down there, and that's got to be a result of practice between Cure and Solar. That's got to be them playing each other a couple times and realizing that on this map, Solar loves to do that. And also, he knows it was mine. You know what? Actually, no, that's maybe not quite as big brained as it was, because he knows it was mined out. That means there's probably something down there. Might as well check for it. I think he's gonna get it. That drone that went out at like 24. He's not gonna get it. It's still heavily inefficient, but this is actually pretty cool. I like this. It's still a little slow, the third base is, but it's not as bad as it was in previous games. And the really cool thing about this is that drone in the bottom corner, yeah, it's pretty inefficient. It's been there since 26 supply. It's now 52 and the third base has been taken. But Cure knew that there was something off about it, so he went around and looked for it. And by sending the Reapers off to look for it, Solar could realize, oh, okay, you're looking for it. I can send a drone to take my third anyways. So kind of a awkward little situation where I think the better play, questionably better play, was just to sit the Reapers on the third base. So it's like, well, you can go try to find the drone. It doesn't really matter because the drone needs to return to the base to get it. Well, anyways, Cure lifts the barracks, knocks the Overlord down. So no more perving Overlord, and then Natural figuring out exactly what he's going for. And Solar is absolutely playing conservative in this game. He's got his third base on the way. Sure, that's a very quick Banley nest. This Banley, I mean, granted, it's a decently timed lair as well. Lair getting started before 5 minutes is pretty fast. So he's going to have a quick Banley nest. He's going to have a quick lair, which means quick Banling speed, which means a lot of these things that Cure might want to go for, 2-1-1 type of scenarios, or even like a Hellbat build. Banlings can hold on to it if you're aware of it in time with Queens as well. So Solar is kind of, it's not quite shutting builds down as much as just opening roaches would be and having 10 roaches on the map in the next minute or so. But he is playing Lingbane fairly conservatively. He is making sure that he has everything that he could want to make sure that most Terran aggression is not really going to accomplish much of anything. Obviously, there's a big caveat here, and that is done properly. If Solar miss micros or Cure just really micros really well or something, maybe that's not going to be a thing. But for now, Lings are on the way. There's a Spore right here, so Liberator's going to take damage pretty quickly. Queen gets deputized to deal with that a little bit. Yeah, Creep's getting knocked down, but there are 5 Queens here at the front, so that's going to get respread pretty dang quickly. Now, the one thing that you are missing when you go for the style, when it is you go for a quick Banling nest, and you go for a quick lair, it's 6 minutes in and Banling speed is about halfway done. Your upgrades, your 1-1 is much slower than it might otherwise be. So that is something, it's actually going to time up pretty nicely with Cure because this was a 2-rack Reaper play. This fourth base, it seems there's not a lot that Solar can do. In fact, it's going to be a kill, not a cancel. Reapers and Hellions on into the natural as well. Solar losing on 2 fronts right now. 2 workers are going to go down, but it feels like destined for so much more. But actually, this is handled really, really nicely. That being said, Solar, can you defend a 3rd spot? I don't know, although Cure wasn't quite as quick on the drop as he might otherwise be. So Lings are going to go down. Banling speed done right about right now. Target fire is not going to be a thing, and only 5 drones die for this. Yeah, it was a dead 4th. It was killed, not canceled. That really doesn't feel good. Actually, these Queens running off creep a little bit. 1 Queen goes down, 2nd Queen goes down, 3rd one gets targeted, but won't go down. Not just yet. That's a little bit better. Okay, this is doing a little bit better for Cure right now. Let's see, another Queen. Oh, man, so many Queens have died in the last 30 seconds. I mean, this is starting to be a problem right now. There's no one to rule anymore, no one to wear the crown. Although, I guess Solar keeps remaking his Queens. There is that. Man, there is nothing more annoying than you kind of have all your Queen hotkeys set up, and you got 4 at the front, you got 1 for each base or something, and then you lose a bunch of Queens. Like, oh man, I gotta go build Queens from each hatch, and then I gotta cycle around later, and I gotta add them to the proper hotkey, and that's not quite in your kind of your mental cycle. And Solar's gonna do it, but it's just a little bit more mental load, right? Because you have this cycle of, you know, I'm going to inject, and then I'm going to build things, and I'm going to add the building eggs to my army hockey, and then I'm going to spread creep, and I'm going to fight. Like, I have this meta cycle. And you're trying to spend as little camera time on each base as possible. Really, for anyone, you're trying to spend as little camera time on your on whatever you are back at home compared to where you want to be on the map. That being forced to build the queens out of the hatcheries and then adding them to your hotkeys, and of course rally points for queens don't work. You can't rally queens out of a base and send them somewhere, so it's a little annoying, and it might, you know, might cause Solar to miss an inject or something, or, you know, maybe not take a fight as good as he would like. Not that one, but might cause Solar to make it, you know, not spread his creep as much or something. Anyways, Solar here, he's well positioned on the high ground. As Kür runs forward, he's going to target a couple Baneleys down before they're ready. He tries to get on top of the queens, is always going to be very nice. And Solar wants to play on the edge of this. Notice he's playing pretty much right on the edge of tank range, which is almost, you can kind of sketch where the tank range is even without clicking on it, which is pretty cool. But Kür's also playing on the edge of that range, running forward. And it seems like Solar, okay, he's not, I thought he was giving the base up. He's only giving the right side up because he knows, that's in bio range, that's in tank range. It's going to be hard to hold on to. But Solar seems like he's not going to be able to wait until 2-2, I think. That feels too far off. And not going to be able to wait for Hydra speed either, I don't think. But he's just setting up a big surround, trying to get on top of these tanks. But this army on the north side seems like Kür's going to get cleaned up on the right side. But he will get a base for his troubles. Now, I think if you're Kür, you'd rather keep the army and not get the base than, you know, get the base and lose the army. That's kind of how that works, because the base or the army is more pressure, is more value over time. But even still, gets that base down, gets some overlords, is very nice, knocks some creep down. You're not upset if you're Kür. You would have liked to keep the tanks alive. I think that is very true, but you're not upset. And now Hive, just about done for Solar, as we continue to move on. 2-2 just about done as well, but Kür did actually, that wasn't even a 2-2 timing for Kür. I'm sorry. Kür did all that on 1-1, just like Solar did. So now Kür, he's got his 4 bases. He's got that right side pushing, which is just so important. Zergs love to expand to that 4th base because it's a little safer. But eventually, as Kür is able to go and take the right side 4th, it's also very safe for him. Honestly, arguably even safer than it is for the Zerg. But on top of that, you know, it means that it's easier for him to push the Zerg on the south side, which is, again, always, you kind of always want to be able to expand in such a way that it enables attacks against your opponent as well as keeping yourself safe. So Kür on the bottom side, he's got an army on the north side as well. Widowmine's going to look for the shot, but not really going to find it again. And Kür, he's got his 2-2 done, but there's no higher level of upgrades. No 3-3 on the way, not just yet. Which, as the Zerg has +1, +3 on the way, +1 range, +3 armor, it does mean that Solar in 90 seconds, 120 seconds, however long the upgrade takes, he's going to build himself a bit of an upgrade. Now, Kür's got this on the way eventually, but it's not there just yet. Widowmine gets a couple Banes. Kür kites backwards once again, and he's just going to run away with this. These medevacts look really low, though. No, never mind. That's low on energy, not low on HP. Okay, we're fine. And now we need to go into our...
Guys in the chat.
Why? I don't want to stop this. Now we need to go into our next game. Can I go back? Please? Why can't I? I'm trying to interact with this. 1 second. I figured I would just be able to click on the channel and go from there. Okay, here we go. All right, we're back into it. We missed about 3 minutes because unfortunately the production machine did go down for the WTL production staff. So as we can see, a lot of stuff has happened. Solar has got Nidus in the main base with lurkers trying to press on top of the gold, get on top of these ghosts as well, and it seems like they will. So the base is dead, or it will soon be. Banelings aren't breaking it down just yet though, and Kür still has a decent, there we go, there's the base dead. Kür still got a decent army. He's got to find some way to break these lurkers down. That was a lot of expenditure coming out of Kür. That was a lot of resources lost very quickly. He's going to get on top of these lurkers on the right side. into this Nidus, but now a second scan has to get dropped. More lurkers are going to go down, but they will get shut down here. Is it the cost of a barracks or two? It's at the cost of 17 SCVs. And we continue to move. We continue to move on. Kier's going to lose the bottom right side. I would have loved to know what had happened in those 3 minutes that we were missing, but it goes on, right? Things happen. That is in the main base here. And these Banelings are getting some really solid connections as the map is just all of a sudden, it seems like Kier established a pretty nice position for himself on the map and then is immediately losing it as soon as we get back in the game. So this is 8 dead SCVs, lurkers in the main base as well, and Kier is on the ropes at this point. It feels really hard. If he finds a way to stabilize, he can still play in this game. He's got to find a way to stabilize. The map has gotten so small for him right now. And again, I'm not the biggest fan of Kier's late game. Not against Solar. I think he's really good in the mid game. Absolutely. He's got a lot of good pressure going. Yes, great. But he doesn't get all the upgrades that he needs. And then he gets broken. And then his bases get broken. Then he loses his economy. And it's like, yeah, okay. At that point, you're not going to go and you're not going to get what you want. But he feels like he's this opportunity from like 12 to 14 minutes, maybe 12 to 15 minutes where you can go and properly develop the tech that you want, get a fusion core, get extended liberator range, get Caduceus reactor, things like that. And he just doesn't get it, and then it really does hurt him in the late game. Although I do see a fusion core here, so maybe he does have those upgrades after all. It's hard to tell. But again, he is kind of back against the wall at this point. His Banelings are going to run in. There are liberators here, so this should be fine. And certainly the beef line to the front of the Marauders means the Banelings won't get the best connections. But on the right side, Kier just doesn't have his army where it needs to be. He's going to lose another orbital. SCVs are going to try to repair, but that's just more dead SCVs on top of this. As the Banelings up the ramp, Bio at the front, Marines at the front, so that's not really what you want. And Solar will find himself supply blocked just a little bit. Talk about things I'd like to see from here in the late game. It seems like he might have lib range this game. I haven't had a chance to really look, but he also isn't. No, he doesn't have lib range. He does not at all. Okay. He's got the fusion core, but never got the upgrade. And he also doesn't have any attack upgrades for the liberators. So feels like his just late game upgrade cycling are just, he doesn't establish himself well enough, at least against Solar, at least in this series. And I think it has been a problem for him, is now he's going to try to take this fight. This is a good spot to take the fight, but Vipers are there and Baneling's going to run forward once again. I think Kier's just dead, actually. It's 115 supply to 187. Kier doesn't have a bank. Solar does. Kier barely has the gold base, but he lost it like 4 times now. And Solar just has 3 max. Yes, Liberators are really strong. Liberators are really good. He's going to break. Yeah, he's going to get on top of the third base of Solar, but Solar has many more bases than Kier does. And that means that even as the gold base goes down, I mean, Kier has to death blow this because Solar is putting a guillotine halfway through his neck right now. The fourth base, or the gold base is down. The third base is just not allowed to mine. It might die, and Kier's just dead. Kier had 3 straight series points, and he doesn't win a single one. Solar in the late game proves that, yeah, he's better than Solar or than Kier in that position, and he moves on to the next round for a date with the loser of Rainer and Hero, I think it is.